What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Real Fanatics. I am your host, Ron Coleman. This is my man, Vito. Today, we will be reviewing Bad Boys Ride or Die on this special Juneteenth edition of the podcast. Happy Juneteenth to everybody out there.
Happy
UCB
Freedom Day.
representing. Happy Freedom Day. And we figured what better way to kick off a Juneteenth episode than reviewing um, a pretty culturally significant film that came out recently in Bad Boys Ride or Die. Bad Boys is a very classic franchise. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence have created some pretty iconic characters through this franchise, and at least the first two, in my opinion, are classics. The third one we can debate, but to me, the first two are certified classics. So here today, we'll be discussing how the latest installment is in its own right, and then also seeing how it stacks up to the rest of the franchise as well. Just to give some initial thoughts, just general baseline thoughts before getting in too deep. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it did something that the third one didn't do as well, which was capture the spirit of the first two, and kind of just gave you that fun, kind of turn your brain off. I'm just here to have a good time type of feel. The third one felt like it was trying to get a little heavy at certain points.
Yeah.
And it's
I
like,
definitely
okay,
agree.
cool, but that doesn't really capture the spirit of what made this franchise great in the first place. So I'm glad in this one they just said we're just gonna go back to our roots and what made our fans fall in love with this franchise in the first place. So those are my initial thoughts. I'll let you go ahead and share what you thought initially, just surface level.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like you said, the third one definitely got a little, it got a little heavy, with
Yeah.
everything that was going on. And that's just so like people that was close to them died.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see that before. And I am going to disagree with you as far as like the feel of it though, because
Okay.
only because I feel like they've been with every movie that comes out, they elevate.
Yeah.
That first one was, I mean, they're all goofy, but
Yeah.
that first one was a little less so. The second one got way more goofy with the rats
Yeah.
fucking. That's
Yeah. Second one was very over the top.
That's
Very,
probably
very over the top.
that's probably one of the most iconic scenes in the franchise, along with the
With
that's how you
Reggie.
shoot.
Oh, yeah, that and Reggie. Reggie's an iconic
And
scene
Reggie,
too. Yeah.
chitty chitty bang
Bang
bang,
bang. Nigga.
So it gets so like I said, they elevate and they grow it with each one. But like you said, it did start off a little slower and it got a little goofier. So after the first one and the second one, which was the second was really goofy, and then you roll into that third one, and like you said, it got really heavy, really quick. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember laughing as much in the third one. And I probably, I probably will go back and watch it, after this, just so I can see if what I'm still saying, because it's what 2-3 years ago. No, that's had to be 5 years ago, maybe.
I'm trying to think. When did Bad Boys for Life? What year did that film release? But to your point though, it was definitely a 2020.
2020. So yeah,
It's
4
a
years ago.
pandemic era film. It was just a little. It wasn't like too heavy. Like I don't think it was like, oh, this is just real dark. But it's like the film. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen Bad Boys for Life, I guess. But like
no,
film,
they don't get a spoiler alert. It's
I mean,
it's been 4 years.
It's been 4 years, but I'm gonna still throw it out there because some people are. But it's like at this, like the film kind of starts out fairly early on with Will Smith's character, getting shot and hospitalized, and it's like, whoa, okay,
Mhm.
I think I kind of
Right.
see like the tone of the type of film
How
we're
it's
in
gonna
for.
be.
This ain't gonna be what Bad Boys 2 was, and to your point, there's some key characters that don't make it out of that movie. So it kind of changes the way I looked at the Bad Boys franchise a little bit in that third film. I was like, okay, so they're actually going for a little bit of a more serious tone. And the first one had that, but the first
Right.
one was still Will Smith and Martin Lawrence in their prime. You can make a serious film with that, but it's only going to be so serious with those two as your lead.
Right.
Like they brought the joke still. That third one definitely felt a lot heavier to me. Out of comparing it to the other films of the franchise, it felt a lot heavier.
Definitely.
And I liked that switch only because I thought the third one was going to be the last. So I was like, okay, if this is the last one, this is going to be the send off. You want to, have the stakes feel high. You want the last send off of these characters. You want to make it feel heavy. I'm down with that approach. And then to watch them kind of go like the opposite direction in this one and make it a lot more goofy, it was like, okay, I actually kind of like this a little bit better because this felt like this felt a lot closer to what the first two was
Yeah.
than what the third movie was, just on the feel of the franchise. Now, whether or not it's better than the third one, like just as an overall film, is I think a different conversation. But in terms of how it fits in the franchise of Bad Boys, I thought this fourth one fits a lot better in the franchise, whereas the third one kind of felt like it was like, this is what we doing now. I didn't know this was the tone we were going for with a franchise like this. So I like the fact that this one kind of got that feel, back a little bit. I also will say one of the highlights to me, and I wasn't really expecting it to be a highlight until it happened. Um, but of Reggie got a lot more character development than I was expecting him to.
Man, so much. I don't even remember him in the third one. Was he
I
in the third
don't.
one?
I think he was. Like I think he was in the third one, but like the fact that you or I don't remember any scenes of him in the third
Yeah.
one is very telling. We're not
And
gonna
then,
forget him in this movie.
and then hold on. So before we go into this, I want to say two things. One,
Okay.
the name. It
Bad
was
Boys
Ride or
franchise.
Die, and like they said, I think somebody said it online, and Will Smith, like the Bad Boys TikTok,
Mhm.
responded like, we didn't think about that, like for
Yeah.
life, this should have
Yeah.
been a fourth one.
Yeah.
We didn't think that far ahead, so I did want to mention that. And then the last thing, I've been seeing online, people were saying like, oh, they didn't think the movie was going to be this, the movie was going to be that. They're talking about, because of Chris Rock, the Will Smith smacking Chris Rock.
Yeah. Which
Again,
got blown out of proportion.
he smacked him, yeah, but the way that people get slapped every day,
Yes.
especially, I'm gonna go as far as say, and they're not. I guess they're not close to each other, but they know each other. They know people that are close to each other. Like, again, Martin Lawrence is a comedian. Chris Rock is a comedian, so they hang in the same circles. But Martin and Will are friends.
Yeah.
But to the point is, it's this. Will Smith is a fucking box office powerhouse. Martin Lawrence is Martin Lawrence. This movie was never going to fail.
It was.
No one. Again, I'm a Chris Rock fan. I don't think he should have slapped that man. I think that man should have fought back at least.
Do something.
Do something, man.
I know it's the Oscars and you the host, but man, I'm not letting a grown man just smack you. You let a grown man smack you in the face on national television, like that's kind of nuts.
But again, it was that. He just got slapped. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't rape anybody. He didn't,
And we know people in Hollywood who've done both of those.
Exactly.
So.
He didn't injure anyone seriously.
Yeah.
He didn't put Chris in a hospital. So it's one of those things, again, that they're powerhouses. And like you said, Bad Boys at this point, bless you, is a classic franchise. No one's going to let this fail. And I mainly see this from a lot of from a white perspective, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
I don't want to say influencers. I don't know what they were, but commenting that. And again, it's like, people get slapped every day. I'm not gonna concern myself with that. I didn't get slapped. He didn't seriously injure this guy. And to be honest, the whole thing, which I'm mad that we keep touching on this because we touched on it when we talked about Alkali, is the white audience. They didn't think that these two black actors were going to put out a movie that overshadowed movies with white cast members.
Crazy part about that is it's like this is an established franchise. Like, and granted, Star Wars is an established franchise too. But the Acolyte is introducing characters that no one in the Star Wars audience is familiar with. A lot of people in the movie-going general public know who the characters in Bad Boys are. People know who Mike Lowry is. That is a name synonymous. That is a synonymous name in pop culture. So I didn't see a whole lot of that conversation online, but I'm sure that existed just because this movie is this franchise has been going on for decades now, and so that is a thing in Hollywood where you try to bring a franchise back and it was a popular franchise in its time, but you try to bring it to present day and it crashes and burns. We saw that with Independence Day. We've seen that with other franchises,
But
that
it's
have happened
hard with
before.
this one because they've already made another one.
Yeah, the
When
third
that
one,
third
the
one,
third one performed well, so it's
and
like you
so
should have
to
expected it to continue with this.
but again, again, we know there's a thing where it's a black movie,
Yeah, yeah,
and people say it's a black movie when it's predominantly black actors in a movie. It's okay. Well, is the greater America going to see this? Is everyone else in it going to watch this? Because when you have a group of white actors and they come out, it's like, oh, it's action movie coming out. I'm gonna go check it out.
mhm,
But now it's these two black actors that are the main actors, and I was like, okay, well, that's a black movie. It's not going to do that well. Of course, they were going to beat out Furiosa. Who gives a shit about Furiosa and the
yeah.
Mad Max
Furiosa bombed.
franchise?
Yeah,
Who?
Furiosa
I
bombed.
mean, I'm going to go see it still
Yeah,
because I like movies, but let's be honest, it didn't stand a chance to
yeah,
again Will Smith. And they said out of the movies that came out, Will Smith is probably the biggest actor so far out of all those people that came out with those movies. And Chris Hemsworth was in Furiosa, but I
yeah,
don't think he had a major role. I know he was a villain in it. Nobody really cares that much. But again, it's
yeah,
Will Smith. Will
yeah,
Smith has Fresh Prince of Bel Air. That alone gives him that star power. And like I said, he to this day he's continually been putting out movies that perform, that sells millions, and he returns on delivery.
yeah.
I just wanted to
I,
get that out the way because
nah,
that's something that I
absolutely.
I was seeing online and needed to
Mhm.
be touched on.
No, you're right. I mean, I think we're in an era now with film that the actors don't really sell movies anymore. Back in Will Smith's day, Will Smith to me is one of the
Yeah.
last actors who to come from that time period of the lead actor selling a movie. Leonardo DiCaprio comes from that time too. There's a few OGs who've been in the acting game for a minute that come from that era.
Hmm.
But nowadays, mostly you sell a film because of the director or because of the story and what it's about. Or in the era of remakes and sequels, it's a popular franchise.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that sell movies now.
And like you said,
So,
they they
yeah.
they, they really do touch on that whole director.
hmm
From the director of
Yeah.
you
Because if Christopher Nolan's making something, you see his name plastered on every trailer. If Denis Villeneuve
yeah.
is making something, you see his name plastered. Same thing with Quentin. Like that's just where the film. That's where the film industry is going now, and that's what audiences have shown their interest in. But to your point on Bad Boys, it's made over $200 million worldwide now, and it's only been out for 2 weeks. So that
Okay.
number's only going to get higher. I don't know exactly what the production budget was, so I don't know how to compare that to on if they made an extreme profit. But I assume this movie, just looking at it, this movie doesn't look like it cost over $200 to make, $200 million to make. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you've seen the
I
movie,
don't
it does
know,
not.
man.
It doesn't look like it cost them $200 million to make this movie. So if
I
they've
don't.
made $200 million, if they've made $200 million worldwide already, I'm gonna assume they've made a profit on this.
I would say I don't think it costs that much to make, but they definitely topped over 100. They
Maybe, but
definitely
like,
topped over 100. And I only say that
yeah,
because of some of the special effects that were in place in the film.
hmm
Um, I don't know. There's a part in the movie, and it's not really is spoiler alert, not spoiler alert, because it was in some of the trailers where it shows Will Smith holding a gun,
hmm
and it's flipping back and forth between who he's pointing it at, back to him, who he's pointing at, back to him, and just getting that system, setting it up, teaching them how to make it. It's time and money was spent on some of those things. Which,
hmm
when we get further into the movie, I'll talk about how I did not like that actually.
okay.
Uh, but I'm gonna look it up now. But I don't. And then I see. I'm not remembering what happened in the trailers. So
I didn't see a lot of the trailers for this. I just saw, oh, they're making a Bad Boys 4. I don't need to watch the
yeah,
trailers for it. I'm going to see it.
exactly,
Like
exactly.
there are certain franchises I don't need to see a trailer for to know I'm going to see. Like I don't. Am I gonna watch the Avengers 5 trailer when it comes out? Absolutely. I don't need to watch the
I don't
Avengers
need to.
trailer to know that I'm going to go see that
Going to go
movie.
see it.
Like there's certain franchises that have that effect, and to me, Bad Boys is one of them. Um, But to your point, like on production budget, though, while you're looking that up and trying to see how much it was, like looking at the cinematography and the quality of this film, like it was very well shot. Like the production looks good, the cinematography looks great, it's shot very well, special effects look good, but just comparing it to some of the other tempo Hollywood blockbusters we have now,
I get what you're saying.
I I'd be very surprised if that film cost anywhere near $200 million.
Yeah,
But I
I don't
also know that
absolutely
like
don't think it costs
Hollywood,
that much.
yeah, Hollywood does have this thing now though, where certain studios, you'll watch a movie and you'll go like, "Damn, the production budget on that couldn't have been that high." And you look it up and they spent $250 million on it.
And
You're
it
like, "Where
looks
the
terrible.
hell did that money go? Like, what?" So like,
They were
you know,
embezzling.
yeah, man, what? Like, there's no way this cost $200 million to make. So it's hard to tell sometimes in Hollywood nowadays, really. But looking at that, unless the people who put Bad Boys 4 together are completely incompetent, I'd be very surprised if that film cost that much to make.
90 million is what's
Okay, yeah,
been reported.
I was expecting the 80 to 90 range. That sounds about right.
So I mean, and again, I want to touch again back on the special effects, man, because one thing that Bad Boys has done is the special effects, and what's the other one? The natural ones, not the
You talking about CGI
not
or
see. Maybe special effects is the all encompassing term, right?
okay? You
Okay,
talking about
so
like
the
what's the
physical
word?
stuff that they do.
Like the
It's a term that I'm
yeah.
blanking on.
There's a term. There's a term we're both blanking on right
But
now. But
either
it's
way,
CGI versus that thing that we can't
yeah,
think of
yeah.
right now. Yes,
But either way,
practical
practical
effects.
effects. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So they've always been because Michael Bay did the first two, right?
yes, yeah. Michael,
So
yeah,
so again, we know Michael Bay at this point. Transformers, explosion, 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 boom, boom, boom. Special effects. Michael Bay does that. We see him time and time again. He doesn't change. He's
yeah.
going to do the craziest shit that he can think of to set a movie up, and he did that in the first one or two. I know he did the first one. I can't remember about the second.
He directed the second one too.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So, but looking at those movies, you see they have large special effects and practical effects when they drove that fucking Hummer through those houses. They did that. They weren't just driving on a lot and green screen. They drove that. I remember the behind the scenes DVD version of that. Where they talk about doing it. And I think they had I think they used like three different Hummers and messed them all up. Blowing up it was just a lot of practical and special effects in it, and it has been and it got more into the third one. And this one, there's so much happening. Um, and the reason I thought it cost more was I want to say the the aircraft crash.
The plane scene.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say anything more than
yeah.
that. I believe that that's mentioned in the show. I mean the trailers, but the aircraft crash scene I thought cost a lot. But again, that's all mostly special effects, and it was just like so much things happened in it. There's a part that I know was in the trailer where they like dodge a RPG,
Yeah, where was that?
which it was very goofy, and I hated it. But I was like, yo, because like you said, I love these movies where I can turn my brain off and just enjoy it, and it's still good. So we've talked about enjoying movies that are terrible. This was a good movie that I enjoyed, and I think I gave it an 8 out of 10 just to jump in right
Okay, well, we're jumping to ratings already.
there. I'll
Yeah,
do it after rating after we
yeah.
discuss it. I'm sure it's gonna get brought down some, but I'm gonna
I'm
give it an 8 out of
hovering.
10 right now.
I'm not as high as you, but I'm close to that range. I'm not as high as you though. I think that we talked about the special effects already. I kind of want to touch on performances, specifically touching on Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, but we can add
Okay,
in other characters as well.
my boy
Um,
Reggie.
that Reggie, man, that and it's
Reggie.
crazy. He like really made this movie off one scene, like in terms of his character. Like off one scene, I was like, oh, this boy ain't playing. Um, but I think the one of the key things that has made the Bad Boys franchise what it is and made it so great is obviously the chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
Martin.
They're like gold. They're gold together on screen. And I think one of even in the Bad Boys moments that weren't necessarily as quality, the franchise has had its ups and downs in terms of each scene, but
Hmm.
I think the one thing that has remained consistent through all of that is their chemistry on screen and how they play off each other on screen. They have always stayed consistent throughout, despite any of the other changes that fans may or may not like. And I think that one of the things that made this film as enjoyable as it was that. Like to me, that was the central driving force. Everything else that was happening around it was just there because this is a movie and we have to tell a story,
Right.
right? But to me, what makes Bad Boys great is their character dynamic and the relationship they have on screen. I think that I mean, if you really break down the Bad Boys films, right, they're all very simple stories. Like it's not like we're reinventing the wheel here. It's a buddy cop film. They about to go shoot up some bad guys. Like it's very very cut and dry, right? Like we're not doing anything completely innovative here. But when you get two people who have that level of chemistry and work very well together, you
Hmm.
can make something classic, or something that's special or classic. Same thing with the Lethal Weapon franchise. Like those are not we're not reinventing the wheel with those films, but you know, Glover and my boy from Braveheart, racist ass Melly Gibson, they
So
they work well together. So it's
before
like
you
I think that
go
carries
to your
over into
next
this.
point,
Yep.
um, and again, because like you said, the chemistry they
Yeah.
have on screen, off screen chemistry.
Yeah.
They're legitimately friends.
It
So
shows.
it really shows,
Hmm.
in the acting and in the portrayal. It's really, I love you, bro. So
Yeah.
you see that,
Yeah.
and same like you said, and you mentioned Lethal Weapon. I want to mention the TV show that came out, and
Hmm.
it wasn't
You
there.
see the difference.
That chemistry wasn't there,
You see the difference, and
and
that chemistry is not there. Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. And you had a pretty big. You had Damon Wayans
Hmm.
as a I forgot. Um,
I don't remember Danny
his
Glover's
name,
character in that. I don't
but
remember the name of Danny Glover's character either. I ain't gonna lie
I
to
know
you.
it's Riggs and
Hmm.
something. But either way, you've seen it, and then you've seen that they got rid of Riggs and brought somebody else in because again, the off-screen stuff
Hmm.
wasn't good with him and everybody else, and they brought somebody else in, and that was the last season. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like you said, so like they really, since the first film, and you kind of see it. The first film, like they know each other, they've been around each other, they're friendly with each other. But
Yeah.
from looking at the first film, even from the first film to the second film, and you look how they're talking, even just how they're speaking to each other, and it's in this brotherly, yo, shut your dumb ass up, man,
Like yeah, like
kind
this
of
this my
thing.
boy for real.
And it's gotten even further into that now, and they play on that a little bit more. And like you said, it really creates something good and classic and enjoyable and relatable that it really lets you see it, and you're like, oh no, yeah, like this is because at this essentially they're not even acting anymore.
No,
And
they're not. I agree. It feels like this is just genuinely how they talk to each other in real
hmm
life. We're just getting to watch it on screen.
right,
That's what it feels like. And I think that in and of itself makes the movie good. And it makes you overlook some of the other, corny or cheesy or parts of the film that are like,
hmm
okay, whatever.
some
But
of the jokes you like,
yeah,
why did
like
you
it
do that?
yeah, there were definitely some I'll say some cringe moments in this movie.
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish was one. My boy from Instagram who does this
Oh,
shit, like that dude, like
I
that.
forgot he was in it.
Yeah, like there were some cringe moments in this movie, but you forgive it because the overall spirit of what makes Bad Boys good was there, and that was the chemistry between Will and Mark.
Yeah,
So it kind of you don't necessarily overlook some of the flaws, but you forgive them in ways that you probably wouldn't if that dynamic wasn't as well executed as it was.
no,
I think.
100% agree. They're not as big anymore. Where
Yeah.
again, you watch a movie like Suicide Squad, and again, I just want to mention it because I hated it, but I enjoyed it. Or I'm
You and
sorry,
a lot of other people.
it was a terrible movie, but I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I was entertained.
Hmm.
But you see the corny stuff that happened in the movie, and you like, yo, this happened, and this happened, and this
Yeah.
happened. And it's a bunch of like this happened, but it's not like this happened, but then they did do this, and that's what you get in Bad Boys, and part of it is one. Will Smith is an amazing actor. So I think even if he didn't have that chemistry with
Mhm.
Martin, it would have came across like that.
So
Martin,
it could, but like the thing is, like we've seen Will Smith in films where that chemistry wasn't there with the actor, and even though Will Smith gave a good
yeah.
performance, like
Well,
it
that's what I'm
shows
saying.
that the
So
chemistry wasn't there. So
that's what
like
I'm saying. It's a
it helps
halfway.
that it's
So
there.
with
Yeah,
Will is there,
yeah.
and Martin is a. It's crazy because we know Martin started off in stand up doing comedy,
Hmm.
and he became a movie star. He was already in movies before these, but
Yeah.
like he was a big actor. Like I don't want to get it wrong, but like, I feel like this Bad
There's a
Boy.
difference in acting skill
I
there.
think
Yes.
yeah, and this Bad Boy franchise, I think elevated Martin to
Hmm.
different level. But his acting is, I think, I don't want to say anything bad about his acting. I'm trying to say, I think his acting would have been okay with him if they weren't he would have been okay as an actor to play off of Will Smith. I think
Yeah, I think.
that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I think that to kind of build off that point, it is a stark difference in the acting ability
Hmm.
between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. It works in this film because they have so much chemistry, but I mean, it's also like a fun, you know, buddy cop film. Also, it's not a film where Will Smith is really tapping
Right.
into the fullest extent of
Yeah,
what of how well of an actor we know
yeah,
he is. This
yeah.
man's an Academy Award winner, so I think if there was a situation where you saw Will Smith in a role where he was locked in acting against Martin Lawrence, it would show the difference between them. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not really what this movie is. It doesn't call for that. It calls for the jokes and the chemistry and the friends, roasting each other and all that. Like it calls for that kind of performance. So it works in this sense because Martin Lawrence does that well. Like
Hmm.
there are things as an actor Martin Lawrence does very well. His comedic timing is really good. He understands, how to portray certain things, voice inflection, characterizations he does. There's a lot of things that work in his acting for this particular role. But I do think there are definitely I think there's a reason that, in the Bad Boys 3, they decided Will Smith's going to be the one that has to deal with the
Shot.
parent child. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to give that storyline to the better actor, and that just is what it is. Like that's I don't think that's necessarily a secret,
I
but you
mean,
don't necessarily think about it when you're watching this. That there's a severe difference in acting talent between the two stars of the film.
I just want to say your reasoning.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that. I mean, I think Martin could have had a secret child, but I
It
also
wouldn't have
think,
hit the same. It wouldn't
I
have hit the
think
same.
with the first two movies, you really see they really play on that family aspect.
Mhm.
So Will doesn't have a family, and the first one is even more so. It's like, man, you doing this, you doing that,
Yeah.
and again, it speaks to the development of them on screen and off screen. On
Yeah.
screen, they was already partners.
Hmm.
We didn't see the beginning of them, but they got into some shit together. And Martin is not always on board of what he's doing,
Yeah.
what Will is doing,
Hmm.
and it shows. He's like, I got a family, I got to do this, I do that. The second one that comes around, now he's even more involved in the family, but also, oh, this man, he dated my sister,
Hmm.
so he becomes a part of that family, and the story needed to go somewhere, and they needed to give them. They didn't need to because in the third one they go get her in Colombia or
Hmm.
Mexico, so
Somewhere.
somewhere. So they not just it's not a typical buddy cop thing anymore.
Yeah.
They going international,
Yeah. No, it
and
got. That's why I was like, it got a little deeper with that third one for sure.
and they're very. I mean, I guess the second one they kind of went overseas to get their sister back to Cuba.
Yeah.
So, um, but the story needs to go somewhere, and what better way than a family issue? They did killing off anybody from Martin's family. I think would have went so much more darker
Yeah,
than
than what you wanted to do.
than
You can
than
go a
it
little
needed
dark with a
to do.
franchise like this, but
You know,
not
so
that dark.
so you don't want to put him in that you don't want to put him in that spot. One, because like I said, Martin is he's a good okay actor, and what I've seen him in,
Yeah.
I put it like that.
He's a good
Um,
actor. Don't get
yeah,
what I said as he's not a good
no,
actor,
he's a
but
good actor.
you're
I'm just
putting
saying,
him up
like,
against one of the goats
yeah,
on
yeah.
screen, so it
So
hits a little different.
I don't think he would have been able to. Maybe he would. I don't know. But his portrayal of the death of a family and the writing, it was a good
Yeah,
choice
for
to
Will
give.
to be the person that goes
Yeah,
through that, and that's what I'm
to give
saying.
him
Yeah,
to give him a family because it
hmm
pushes the story along.
yeah,
Because that was something that he's mentioned time and time again. Or not
hmm
him and Martin. Like they play on it like, oh, you're able to do this, and this because you don't have a wife and kids. You
yeah,
had a trust fund. You had this. You had that. You don't have these responsibilities that I have.
hmm
So you behave the way you behave. And again, it pushed the story along. And it kind of opened up for this fourth one where, again, he still doesn't have a family, really. Again, I'm not sure what was in the trailer, so I don't. I think, can we give the beginning, that opening scene of what happens as a whole, where they were going to? Is that bad if I spoil it? Because
at the opening, I always don't. I always think opening scenes aren't necessarily spoilers unless it's
okay.
something like jaw dropping. So
So
I would say yeah.
okay, so the beginning of the movie opens with they're going to a wedding, and it's the
hmm
wedding of Mike Laurie and his physical therapist. I don't remember her in the third one. To be honest with you, I do not remember that third movie, and I really have to go watch it after
I
this
don't
because
remember that much of it
we're
either. I remember
saying a
like the
lot, and I
highlights.
do not. Yeah,
I
that's
remember
it.
the highlights. Like, okay, I remember the kid came from the third movie. I
I
remember
remember
Mike
them
got shot. I remember it had something to do with the
somebody else
villain from a
getting
previous
shot.
movie. Someone else got shot in that movie. Like, I remember the highlights, but like the
So
overall story point and
we
how
did
you
not.
got to those different instances. No,
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't.
remember.
Yeah.
But Mike Laurie's getting married, and again, it shows it goes to his growth and pushing the story forward. He's they mentioned it in the movie. It's like it's time for him to grow up, and they go, "You 50." You know,
It's like we damn near at the last movie now.
yeah,
We finally got to this point.
you grown, my dog. You've been grown. So no, again, it just pushes the story along, and I love movies
Yeah.
that you get movies that get stagnant, and one of those movies, which is a huge franchise, Fast and Furious series. They went from
Yeah.
racing cars, and then they became super secret spies and doing this.
hmm
And now they've been in that area where they're super secret spies for the past four movies,
Yeah.
and they haven't gone anywhere else. Now they just keep it. Oh well, did we ever tell you that Dom has a brother?
Yeah. They're just throwing stuff
What?
at the screen. They're just
And
throwing stuff at the wall, and like we're just gonna just add on.
and
Forget
again,
if it makes sense or not. We just gonna
because
do it.
I'm almost certain he's supposed to be like, I know he's supposed to be Latin.
Mhm.
John Cena is the
That's
most
the
un-Latin
yeah.
motherfucker you could have got. That is the whitest man.
Yeah, that was the most Caucasian person you could have got to be Dom Toretto's brother. I was like, I don't know if that fits,
Again, I
given
love
how you
John
set
Cena
that
in movies
character
because
up. But
he's
all right,
fucking hilarious. But
maybe they trying to say Dom's half white. I don't know. Maybe the mamas is different.
man,
Maybe the mamas is
right, they got the
different. We
same
don't know.
daddy though. But
Yeah, same daddy, just same
that's what
daddy.
I'm saying. Bad Boys, with every movie, they push the story along, they go forward, and they're not stuck. And also, they the way they timed these out, like I said, Bad Boys came back. Everybody was
hmm
certain Bad Boys 2, last Bad Boys. We never get another.
I thought it was too.
Bad Boys 3 came out. We said, yo, we never get another one.
Yeah,
They
when I saw the
introduced
fourth one got
four.
announced, I was like, oh wow, like they're actually doing it.
The fourth one come out, and in this movie, like I said, they kind of, again, they're pushing the story along. So even if these two actors cannot come back, I know at least one person that they could have in it.
hmm
And that would be Reggie. And again, if you
Yeah,
haven't seen
I
the
don't want
movie,
to. I personally don't want a Reggie movie because I don't think that character is charismatic enough
I
to
don't
carry
think,
his own film.
but
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 if
again,
you
they
told me you
don't.
was giving me a Reggie film with all action scenes and he don't got to speak or have dialogue, I'm there for it.
But this is the thing. That's his role. They don't
Yeah,
want him to speak. They don't want him to have dialogue. In
yeah.
the first movie that he was in, what happens? Coming to the door.
He said like 3 words.
Nigga, what's your name?
The boy was
Reggie.
stuttering.
How old is you? What do you say? 14.
Nigga, you look 30.
So he didn't have that many lines. I
Yeah.
don't remember him being in the third one at all. I'm gonna go look it up. But in this one, again, he doesn't have any lines. Which, Farhan said at the beginning, Reggie kind of, and I don't want to say he made the movie,
Yeah.
because, but the scene that he had where Reggie was, I'm gonna just say Reggie got active,
He got very active.
Reggie is a U.S. Marine, and that's all we know. That's
Yeah.
all we know.
Yeah,
Reggie
he
got
showed you that he
active,
was a
you
U.S.
know.
Marine in this movie. He showed you he's a U.S.
So,
Marine.
but like his role has not to be
Yeah,
that character person that we want to talk about that you want to see again
mm,
because nobody gave a shit about Reggie
yeah,
until Reggie got active.
yeah. Until that scene, I was like, "What? All right, go
Nobody gave
ahead,
a fuck about
Reggie."
Reggie,
I was like, "Go
and
ahead, Reggie." The hell?
and again, so like
Where this
he's
come
never
from?
right, and just the dynamic of it, he doesn't fit into. He wouldn't have that many lines because again, that is my daughter's husband,
Mhm.
and again, just how they treated him in the second one,
Yeah,
and I think he was in the third one because I think that's
he
when they
was.
actually got
Yeah, he
married.
was. Yeah, he was in the third one.
And they said it, but he's just not in their circle.
Hmm.
Whereas some other people are in their circle because of the circumstances. Reggie's circumstances does not allow him to be in their circle to even give him lines that
Yeah,
we actually needed.
yeah. True. That is true. That is a fair point. I think he's the only, outside of obviously the main two, he's the only character who could have a story outside of this. I just don't think we'll ever explore it or see it. Um, but we've touched on the cinematography, we've touched on the performances. Um, I kind of want to get into how we rank this film compared to
Oh,
the
we
rest of the
lagging, bro.
franchise. Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear
Yeah.
you now, but it's lagging.
Oh, dang, dang, dang. Oh, we gonna power
All
through,
right,
y'all.
we good
Technical
now. We good
difficulties.
now.
All right, bet. Um, so I want to get into how we look at this film compared to the rest of the franchise. I mean, some of the key points we brought up, like the very fun film, has a few cringe-worthy or corny moments, but other than that, you kind of push through it because of the strength of the performance between Martin Lawrence and Will. The story was what it was. It's nothing crazy or inventive.
Hmm.
It's a very simple buddy cop story. Um, and but another issue. It's not really an issue, really, with the film per se, but it's an issue I have with just movies in general. I'm kind of over the whole the good guys are now fugitives and have to go on the runs. I was
Dude,
like, I'm kind of tired of that
oh
storyline,
my
man.
God.
Like,
Please, why?
we've done
Why?
it so many times now.
On
Like,
top of that, this is the fourth film, and they've I don't want to they don't save the world, but they do a lot of good. And
yeah,
that's like I said, that's one thing that always kind of agitates me. And I
hmm
always do WWJBD. What would Jack Bauer do? If you don't know who Jack
what
Bauer
would
is,
Jack Bauer do?
Jack Bauer is he's an agent for the terrorist Central Terrorist Control Unit or something like that, CTU, counterterrorism unit, from a TV show called 24. Jack Bauer has saved the U.S. multiple times, and every time there's a new season, Jack Bauer has to do things on his own. We know
Yeah,
Mike and Marcus are doing what's best, and again, they kind of it make the story makes sense, but it
hmm
doesn't because at the same time, the real bad guy, why?
yeah. That
like,
it was a very. They kind of loosely explained the villain's
yeah, but
motivations in
it's
a very
like
lazy way, and I was
very
like, I
lazy,
guess,
it was very lazy, very sped up,
yeah,
and you really
yeah.
didn't. Oh man, I'm jumping so far ahead because you really didn't know his intentions until the end of the movie or
And
close to the
even
end of the
then,
movie.
it was kind of like,
It was very flawed,
yeah,
very flawed.
the story itself. And I don't want to spend too much time on this. I do want to get into ranking, but this was a key flaw that I think should be factored into how we rank this compared to the other films. Um, but I mean, the villains in the other films weren't that interesting either. Outside of the third one, that was only because of the relationship they had with one of the main
I'm gonna
characters.
say the second one.
I
Yeah,
personally, the second one is my favorite. Bad Boys Two is
buddy.
my favorite
Hey,
one
he
out the
was,
franchise.
and,
So
and again,
I'm with you.
that's one of my favorite type of villains. Though he was just unhinged,
Just
and
completely
yeah,
unhinged.
like when he shot Buddy, it was like, yo, he did this, he did that. I told him not to do it, and that's his best friend. I grew up with this man. He just killed him, So
Yeah,
I
he
love
ain't
that.
care.
I
That boy
love
was a
that.
psychopath.
I love that unhinged thing, and that's more so who I would have figured them to make them put somebody on the run, not
Yeah,
this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense only because of who he was connected to and how they positioned him as a character in terms of like the power and access he would have, a character in his position. But it was just very weird. Like the motivations didn't really make sense, and the way they explained it at the end, it was like, huh?
Yeah,
So in order to do this, there was no other way for y'all to accomplish that other than doing what you're doing right now. It just
yeah.
seems like very flawed logic. But
That
okay,
whole
sure, whatever you
thing
say.
uh, again and again they're pushing the story still, or pushing the story forward still. But like you said, it was kind of lazy. It was kind of goofy.
Hmm.
Not the good goofy
Yeah,
because they didn't need to be on the run. They did not
yeah,
need to be on the run at all.
yeah. That was my major flaw really out of the movie because the cringy, corny stuff I can get over because they were short instances. The Tiffany Haddish
Hmm.
scene was very short. The scene with the influencer was very short. That was like a
That
few
was
seconds.
that was like that wasn't even, that was
It was a
brief. Like that
yeah,
wasn't
it
even
was a
short. That
throwaway,
was
but it was just
brief.
kind of like y'all didn't need to have that in there. That was
Because
kind
if
of
you don't
corny.
watch TikTok or you don't know TikTok, then you're
You didn't even
probably
know who
not
he
going to know
was.
who he
Yeah,
is.
like for me, it was corny because I was like, "Come on, y'all! I just don't like that in movies. It just kind of like takes you out of it.
Yeah,
And you know what I'm saying? It didn't. Yeah, like the scene itself worked. And like
yeah.
Martin was already funny within the scene. You once you add that in, it was like, ah, okay, you know.
Because it
Yeah,
wasn't even that funny to me. I
it
mean,
wasn't like it was just
it's
unnecessary.
it's a thing that the thing he does is not that funny to me anyway. But
Yeah,
like, people was in there laughing. I'm like, haha, I just gave it a chuckle, but it was like,
yeah, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Um, but now that we've kind of given our overall thoughts on the film, um, where do you rank this? How if you had to rank the four Bad Boys movies that we
um,
have now? Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys for Life, now Bad Boys Ride or Die. How are you ranking those four?
2 4 1 3,
2, 4, 1, 3. Really?
2 4 1 3,
I will go
one
2. I will go 2, 1, 4, 3.
2 1.
Yeah,
Listen. I
yeah.
had 2 1 4 3 at first, but that fourth one, man. Again, I
So
love
you're putting the fourth one above the
the first one.
first.
And I'm saying because I love the
It's a
action.
hell of a take, young brother.
I love the action, and I love the mindless action. This
Yeah,
is I love action movies,
yeah.
and I just told somebody recently I love a time when action movies came out, and you don't know what the fuck the movie was about.
Yeah.
You just knew, hey, they about to kill some people, they about to do this, and they might say something brief like, "I have a son."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they took my son, and that's it.
That's it. You're just there to watch
He's
him kill
going to get his
people. You don't
son
care what the
back.
motivation or the reasons are.
You don't. And like I
Yeah.
said, it was mindless action. When you look at a movie like The Expendables, that's what The Expendables are.
Yeah.
That's for you to just sit back, kick your feet up, relax, have fun. And I feel like even though this is not what they did, because you kind of, again, the first one of the trailers I seen was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So when you look at this movie, man, it's so much action in it. They off a lot of people, which is crazy because cops
Man.
don't kill. I mean,
I mean, they killed.
we ain't
They
gonna
killed
get
a lot.
political like that.
Yeah, I was about to say like cops don't kill people.
I caught myself. I caught myself when I said
Look at
it.
the shirts we got on. Golly.
I
Cops
caught
don't kill
myself.
people.
Caught myself when I said it. All right, but they're not firing their weapons in the line of duty like that.
Not in the way that they are in this
These
movie. No,
man,
you're right. You're right.
they
Not
kill
like
about
this.
40 people, man.
They kill. They don't kill this excessively as they do in this movie.
They killed 40 people, just these two officers, and in like 3-4 days, in a week time, maybe 2 weeks.
I don't even think it was that long. It might have just been a week. You're right.
So, I love that part of it. And again, I don't know. I'm gonna put it above the first one, only because, like I said, the first one was, again, it introduced you to it.
Yeah.
And it was like, yo, damn, Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, it works, because Will Smith, even though he was in comedic things, Will Smith is a serious actor. We've known Will Smith as a serious actor. Then you have Martin. Martin has been in some serious roles, somewhat. I have to look at that because I don't think he's actually been in really anything like really serious. I think all his roles have been
They've been
comedy.
comedic in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. I feel
So,
like.
And it just worked. They worked together. It
Yeah.
showed you that, and it gave us something we didn't have before. I want a buddy cop movie with black guys. Yo, finally got one.
Yeah,
We finally got a
that was really
where's
the
two
first
of
of
them,
its kind, where was that popular too. Like that
and it
was
was
kind of the first of
popular.
its kind.
And, that was probably these were probably the best two choices
Yeah, absolutely.
outside of if they would do Eddie Murphy in there with somebody. Because again, Eddie Murphy's fucking.
Yeah, I mean Eddie Murphy kind of already had his dominant cop movie. It was
That's what I
him.
was saying.
Yeah,
But I don't know, man. That fourth one was just the action scenes is what took it over for me. I'm gonna be
the
honest.
action scenes
The
in
action
this, I'll say
scenes,
this: the action scenes in this movie are definitely some of the best we've seen in the franchise. I will say that.
if the
I will
action
agree with
scenes
you
weren't
there.
that strong, or if they, I would have put. I honestly, like I
Yeah.
said before, when I said it, as soon as you asked that question, I said 2-1-4-3, and then I
Mhm.
thought about it some more, 2-4-1-3. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna put and again, it's solely off of the action because I
Yeah.
think story wise, the first one was probably one of the best ones.
Mhm.
It's very good storytelling. Um, I do want to go back and look at that one now too, because why did y'all
Yeah.
take her to your house, bro?
Now, story wise, the first one I think is the strongest for sure. I agree
Yeah.
with you there. I would fairly similar ranking to you, but I'm switching my middle ones. I'm gonna go 2-1-4-3. I think the two is my favorite one, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. One, I think the story is a lot stronger, and I still think the action scenes hold up well. I just think the story in four was lacking in too many areas for me to put it above one. Like granted, like I said, I think the action scenes in
Let's get into
four
that.
are some of the best we have in the franchise. But I still think the action in the first one is really good. I think the action in the second one is really good. And those are the films that created this entire franchise and kicked us off at this point and made us go like, okay, we want more of these characters.
Yeah.
Was because of those two films. Um, and I think the third one is not bad. I don't think the third one's a bad movie.
Mhm.
I just think it's the weakest link out
It's
of
just
the
not as good
four.
as the other ones.
Yeah, it's just not as good as the rest, but it's still an
Like
enjoyable
you said, it's
film. I
not
can
a
go back and watch it.
yeah.
I don't think any of the, and this is a rare thing to accomplish in any
Yeah, when you got
franchise,
a bunch of
where you got four films
bangers.
and none of them are bad. Like even if they aren't all bangers, like they aren't bad. You know what I'm saying? Like that in and of itself is an accomplishment. I think the third one is just okay, but it's not bad. Like I'm not looking at the third one like, oh, this,
Yeah,
yeah, y'all dropped the ball on this
I don't
one.
want to watch this again.
You know what I'm saying? Like that
So
for a franchise with this many films, that is rare. So I do
I'm
want to
gonna
give some props
say
on that.
three was a banger for the simple fact we thought it wasn't coming back,
Yeah, we did
and
not
it
think we were
came
getting
back.
that.
That's the so again.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you said, it was very okay. It's
Mhm.
very like you said. I don't remember much about three outside of
Yeah.
the overall story. It
There
took
weren't
us
a lot of
this.
memorable moments in that movie.
It
There just
took
weren't.
us what almost 15 minutes to remember Reggie was in there.
Yeah, like there just wasn't a lot of memorable moments in that movie, but like I do remember walking out of the theater going like, that was alright, that wasn't bad. Like it doesn't not nearly as good as the first two, but it was okay for bringing back. Usually when you bring back a franchise after all these years, it's a disaster. So I
Yeah,
already used I already used Independence Day as an example, and there's other examples you can look to.
I didn't
But
even watch that.
I didn't either, but I saw how it bombed at the box office, and I saw them reviews it was getting. I was like, yeah, that's crazy. That's kind of what y'all get for just trying to throw something together, thinking
Right.
the name itself is going to carry it. But I think that usually when you bring back a franchise after all these years, it's going to be hit or miss. It's either going to be really good or it's really not. Very rarely you have something that you can go, okay, that was quality, that was decent, and the fact that this was able to accomplish at least being all right after all these years, and not ruining the name of the franchise that we've seen some other films do. I was content with that. And then for the fourth one to be as enjoyable as it was, I think holistically they've created a very quality franchise here. So yeah, that would be my ranking: 2-1-4-3. That's how I'll rank it. 2 and 1 just off their classics. I think the story in those two is a little bit better, especially in the first one.
Mhm.
Fourth one at third because I think the action is very strong. I think the one is probably some of the strongest we've gotten in the franchise. It's just the story was lacking in a little too. It was lacking in some areas, and it was lacking in like some key areas to where like I can't really give it the nod just yet. And then the third one was just okay. But yeah, that's how I would rank the four. And overall as a ranking, you gave your ranking. I'd give the fourth one a 7 out of 10. I was gonna go a little lower than that, but I didn't want to make it seem like because I
You're
feel like
taking
sixes, yeah, like I didn't want to feel like I was being too like hard on it because sixes I feel like are reserved for like films where you were like that was mid.
Yeah.
And this wasn't that, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I would definitely recommend people check it out.
I'm going to change mine to a
Okay,
7.5
okay,
for like again we keep saying story wise. We keep coming back to the story. It was
hmm
funny. The movie was
yeah,
fucking hilarious. Loved it. But the story, it was stronger than the third one. It got you a little more invested.
hmm
Um, there's a scene at the end of the movie where I don't even. There's a boat. How the hell did they know that boat was there?
like I said, there's a lot of plot
There's
holes. There's a
they
lot of
never mentioned the ammo team from the third movie are in
hmm
this one as well, but you only see two members.
yeah,
And it's Vanessa Hudgens, who's Vanessa Hudgens, so people know her as name
yeah.
recognition. I don't even know who the fuck the other guy is. I don't remember his
Man, I
name.
forgot it. I had to be
Um,
reminded that he was in the third movie. I was like, oh yeah, because I'm thinking the whole time watching. I'm like, where did this dude come
where
from?
did he come from?
I was like, who is this?
You
I'm like,
know,
oh shoot, he was in the third one.
and he's been in some things. He was in
I recognize the actor. Yes, I was just trying to figure out who his character was
yeah,
in this
but
franchise. But I recognize the actor. Yes, I've
what
seen him in a
happened
few
to the
things
rest of
before.
the ammo team? We see these two
hmm
we see them at a crime scene. We see them at other parts of the story, but we see them at a crime scene.
Yeah,
And it's only them two there. There's nobody else from this ammo team there. I don't remember what the ammo stood for either, which
I
again
don't either.
speaks to how the third movie was kind of, under the rest
hmm
of them. But why?
Yeah,
Why is the rest of the team not there? Even if you're not going to have them play central parts in the rest of the movie,
hmm
the entire team should have been. And why are they the CSI people?
yeah. That's another
I
thing
thought they were
too.
like a SWAT team almost.
Yeah, they kind of switched their roles up a little bit in this one for sure.
Um, so there are a few things where I'm like, what was the point of this? How did you get there? And again, I'm get back to the Tiffany Haddish.
That was not a good scene.
If you if you know me and you've seen me online in the past 10 years, you know I hate Tiffany Haddish as a comedian.
Honestly, you don't like her at all.
I used to say, I'm glad she's getting money. Whatever.
Yeah,
You're successful keeping your money, but everything she's in infuriates me. She's terrible. She's
she's
not
gotten
funny.
stale, which is so crazy because of how good her debut was in Girls Trip. I thought for
I,
that film she was great,
what's crazy?
but something about her stick or her like the way her comedy is, has not translated outside of that movie, and it's so weird.
Because it worked in Girls Trip, and
Yeah,
that's not her premiere.
that was the first thing I
Like
saw of
big
her.
movie
So
though too.
yeah, that's
So
how I was introduced to her.
she was in the movie Keanu with Key and Peele
With
with the
the Key and
cat
Peele, yeah, I never saw that. I know what you're talking about
or
though.
dog or whatever it was,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I think it was a cat, wasn't it?
yep.
Yep.
And when I watched it, I seen her. She plays like a gangster in the movie.
hmm
She's part of the crew, but she's at the end of the movie, it turns out she's undercover cop. And it made sense. It came out well. It played like it seemed okay. But every other movie she's in, she plays this very she plays the stereotypical black woman.
Yeah,
Um, she plays stereotypical white black woman, and she again one. Let's just start with she's not funny. She is not funny at
that's the
all.
key problem right there. If you don't find her funny, she's gonna lose you
She's
immediately.
not funny, and the people that do find her funny are mainly not black.
Yeah, yeah,
And they don't
yeah.
find her funny because she's playing a character. She's
hmm
playing a stereotype, and she keeps playing a stereotype.
Yeah,
And some people are saying, I don't think she's not acting. That's just herself. I don't think she. I don't. I hope that's not how she behaves. I hope that's not how she really acts.
I mean,
But
I've seen interviews of her like being herself, fairly consistent with how she is on screen. So
but again,
I agree with that take. I think that's just her being herself on
if that's
screen.
the image that you're portraying, then you want to keep that shit up. you're not
Yeah.
about to, you're not gonna slip
Yeah.
up in those interviews.
True. Well,
Like that's
we don't know how she is behind closed doors,
yeah,
but based
behind
on the
closed
public
doors.
persona she's created for herself, that's how she
And
is, whether she's on screen or doing other things. The public persona we've seen.
and I don't want to turn this into a hate train thing with Tiffany Haddish because I could. I, I 100% could, but I'm not. Again, I'm glad to see anybody get acting in a movie.
Just
But
glad
now
to see her successful, but she hasn't landed outside of Girls Trip. Her stuff hasn't landed well for
I don't want
me,
to
in
see
my
her
opinion.
anymore. Let me just put it like
Yeah,
that. It's like she's good. She did
yeah.
it. I don't want to see her anymore.
This
That
film was kind of
scene,
the last straw for me. I'm with you. Like
it was,
this was like, damn, Tiffany, you
and
kind of.
I'm going to
This
get.
scene didn't need to be in here.
There's going to be a spoiler warning here. Spoiler alert. Spoiler warning. Whatever you want to call it. Tiffany Haddish plays a stripper slash pimp slash gangster slash thug slash owner of the strip club, I think. But,
That's kind of the way they portrayed her.
because
That's kind of
why were
yeah.
they having a meeting in the middle of like prime strip club hours with the strippers? Like it was
It was like every dancer that worked there. I was like, this
was
customer's
literally
there.
in
Who's
the back having a meeting about money. Not like, yeah, be safe, get this money, get that money. It was like, yeah, you got to bring this money back. You got to bring this money and get that money. That just her. And she's like, she plays this overly sexual. Again, I don't know what the fuck her job title was in there.
Yeah.
Stripper was in there. One, if I go to the strip club, I see Tiffany Haddish, I'm leaving.
You just have a personal vendetta at this point.
So
that boy said, I can't even have a good time no more because she's here.
So a lot of people, some people know I was in the military, and I spent some time with the Marines at this place called Camp Lejeune, or Camp Lejeune. And Camp Lejeune has this very famous strip club, and it's only famous because it's right outside the base. Like when you leave the base, you're going to pass it. There's no way you cannot pass it. Mm-hmm. It's called the Driftwood. We like to call it the Dirtwood because, you know how strip clubs, during the day they had a B team out. It's not gonna be the and again, they're not bad. It's just when
these aren't the main attraction.
Yeah, when the big money guys come, they're not coming in the middle of the day. They come in, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night to spend money. The Driftwood doesn't have their B team is their A team, and then it's the C team, and everybody looks like a C team.
Yeah. So you saying that's what this was?
I've stayed in that strip club, and if I see Tiffany Haddish,
I'm up.
I'm leaving. And again, it just did not make sense. Where did everybody get guns from? They're all in.
Man, that was. There's a lot that did not make sense about that entire scene. I'm gonna be real.
Martin was the funniest part of that.
Martin, I would say that there's a lot of the corniest scenes in this movie were saved by Martin Lawrence.
Martin fixed it up.
That's what I'm saying. Like their dynamic saved a lot of the flaws in this movie. Because that's you kind of forgive that. You don't necessarily overlook them or forget about them, but you forgive them because they were saved by the stars.
And it's like you said, it's like I'm talking to my friend. I've had conversations like that with my friends. They've had like somebody just told me something like that. Like, hey, bro, you gonna take one for the team? You gonna do like, what are you? Wait. What are you talking about, bro? Like,
what you mean? What you mean? What do you mean by that,
bro? Hey, what's going on? So it was funny to see it. And he's like, yo, we trying to get home. We trying to be safe. I need you to do what you got to do, Mike. You only been married for a week,
Yeah, Martin saved that scene for sure. Martin saved that scene.
And like I said, I feel like Buddy was forced. His son. They were forcing his son upon us.
He was fine. I didn't mind his character.
He was fine, but the movie would have worked without him.
Yeah, honestly. The movie would have worked without him, but him being there gave, I think it gave a lot more, because you already have a family dynamic with Martin Lawrence's character, right? I think having Will Smith's son in the film, storyline-wise, it made sense from there. So, like, I was fine with that. In terms of how it fit in the story, it made sense for a character to be there. And it gave Will Smith's character an emotional connection that I think he otherwise would have been lacking if that character wasn't there. Sure, he had his wife, but we don't see his wife in the movie that much. She's not in that many scenes.
Yeah.
So to have a character that's a consistent like emotional tie for Will Smith's character, that kind of shows you a little bit more of, his humanity and how he is
Yeah.
within his family dynamic. I think that having his son in there helped Will Smith's character, in my
And
opinion.
I don't know if you noticed, but he kept checking on him.
Yeah, like it
Like
shows you a different side of Mike Lowry, the
every
parent
time
Mike
something
Lowry.
happened in a movie, he
Yeah,
would check on him, and
yeah,
it was funny because you're like, yo, this is a grown ass man. This is first of
yeah,
all, he's a murderer.
yeah. Like first of all,
Let's not
it's a
forget
grown ass
this.
man and a
This is a
killer. It's a
killer.
stone cold killer.
He killed one of y'all best friends and boss. He
And
killed
y'all
a lot of
you
people.
checking on him like this your 13-year-old kid, and
Like,
this dude is a straight killer.
because I'm be honest with you. If I'm 45 and I find out I got a 22, 23-year-old son that I didn't know about, and this motherfucker been killing people,
Just went on a murderous rampage, and people
I don't know this nigga.
like kill people you know at that. It ain't like it was some random people. These are people that you like have relationships with.
Right. And I've seen online that people say like they're setting up for the next one to be Reggie and Armando, which I
don't want
doubt
to see
very
that movie.
seriously.
I don't want to see that movie.
I wouldn't want to.
I don't
see
know
that
about y'all.
either.
I don't want to see that movie.
I don't want to. Again, I don't want to see Armando. My man's he's a drug dealing.
Yeah, he works because
serial
of
killer.
Will Smith. His
He's
character works, because of Will Smith. That's the only reason his character fits well.
That
Without
man is
Will
a
Smith
serial killer.
his character is a lot less.
It doesn't make
to
sense.
Me. Yeah,
because it's and again that ending.
Yeah, like Armando only works with Mike Lowry there. Without Mike Lowry, I'm not interested in seeing what that character's doing. Honestly,
like he got that cushy jail scene, that cushy jail cell because of who his dad is, because of what they did. The information that he could possibly anybody else would have killed that man.
Yeah.
But now he might have information, and I don't want to go too deep into that, but when I say and they say that because there was a fight scene in there with him in the prison, which went pretty well, and people were comparing it to Reggie's, and Reggie
had the best fight scene in the movie.
And that's what they said. They was like, oh well, he did this, he did that. They was like, did you see what Reggie did?
Yeah, Reggie's scene was the best. When I say that the action in this movie is some of the best we've seen, that's the scene I'm thinking of.
I'm about to one more spoiler alert, or spoiler rather. So spoiler alert.
Yeah.
In the prison scene, he notices something is off. He notices it's gonna be a fight. He picks up a 45-pound weight
and gets to work.
And why not pick up a 10 or 15 or 25? It would have conveyed the same message.
It ain't gonna hit the same as that 45, bro.
You also not moving a 45 around like that.
This man's a stone cold killer. Bro, you don't know what this man is.
That man is not moving a 45 around like that. And then he ain't got no friends in prison. He wasn't talking to nobody at all. Ever. He's the cartel. Get the fuck out of here, man.
He was isolated. You know what I'm saying?
My man's got he was isolated until this one day. This one day he had he had friends, and a 25-pound weight with a plate at that. A plate. Let me put that out there. A plate would have conveyed the message of I'm about to kill these niggas.
Yeah.
Then a 45-pound plate. It just again, it was and I said that in the theater. I said, why he ain't just pick up a smaller? Because he was swinging that motherfucker around like nothing. Like it was a bag of oranges. Like
major pause.
It was an orange, a bag of oranges. What, bro? What? What? This man said major. What? I'm done with you, dog.
It was the motion, and it was the bird swinging around in the motion. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on.
You ain't never watched Ed, Edd n Eddy?
Yes, absolutely.
My boy was
No,
he just got it with his my man said. That's how probably he swung that bitch around his head, and I said, no fucking way.
It wasn't the most realistic thing in the world, but it's a turn your brain off type movie. So in those instances, I forgive things like that as long as it's not like Fast and Furious level of like like Fast and Furious takes it to a level of like, all right, now you're
but
insulting my intelligence.
that's
at this
why I
point.
like Fast and
This
Furious.
is a little different. This feels a little more grounded, a lot more grounded. Actually.
And that's the thing, they're grounding it. I mean, it's been pretty grounded. That's why every time they leave the country and do something, it kind of takes away from the buddy cop thing, because buddy cops they're fighting this drug dealer, this person. It's usually locally. The second one, they went to Cuba to get their sister back, which, granted, I guess makes sense. But they had the help of the DEA, the CIA. This one, 3, I think they had the help of the CIA in there to find or the DEA to find his son.
And this one, the FBI plays a big role in this movie.
FBI, U.S. Marshals probably more so, but FBI, U.S. Marshals play a role in it. Which again, they can play these roles in these movies in buddy cop films, but it's usually they're not. It's we gonna take y'all investigation. Oh, we gonna do our investigation on the side, and they go do it. Again, we already said they're on the run. They're being hunted essentially, which again did not need to be a part of the film. We could have did without it, because there is not a lot that happens that shows them actually being hunted. It shows them being wanted men.
Yeah, that whole them being wanted and on the run thing is it didn't need, I agree with you. It wasn't played up that much in the film, and I just don't think it was a necessary storyline. Honestly, it wasn't a necessary storyline. Honestly, like they could have done, I feel like, exactly what they did without that storyline. It doesn't make sense in the context of the film in terms of what the villain is trying to do and all that. Sure, but I could have did without that, me personally. But I mean, they still did it. They executed it, I think, fine enough.
It wasn't terrible. I'll just put it like that.
It's a storyline that I'm tired of. It's gotten stale at this point for me.
It added minutes to screen time that we didn't need, though. Because I mean, again, movies are getting longer, which I love.
Yeah,
it's a 2.5-hour movie, I think, is total, but it probably comes out to like 2:15, 2:10, something like that, when you take away the credits and all that stuff. And literally everything he did, he could have did without making them fugitives.
Yeah.
It could have been, hey, they're doing this. They're still investigating their case. Okay, well, tell them turn in their badges. And then
shut their case down. Like, there's other ways you can showcase that corruption.
That they still did.
Yeah.
And you like, okay.
Yeah. Even if you want to do that, it could have just been like their case is getting shut down. Okay, this could have been them going rogue. Like, there's other ways you could have executed that, being, I think.
Fugitives.
Like straight
federal fugitives. Like accused of murder.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
It was a lot.
Like I said, it's getting very old. And I do want to touch back on, because you're not gonna keep disrespecting Fast and Furious, bro.
I enjoy Fast and Furious for the most part. Don't get me wrong, but like it's if we gonna be real, bro. After Fast and Furious 6, it got to a point where it's like, no, you're insulting my intelligence.
Honestly,
now.
after 5, bro, when Letty came back, I was
Letty came back in the when did Letty come back?
I think.
Was it the 4th one? It was. I think it was the 4th one. I don't even remember now. They all run together. Or no, 4th one was when she died.
Okay, so she came back.
The 4th one was when she died. She came back in 6.
Yeah, she came back.
She came back in 6. Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. She died in 4. She came back in 6. But like 5 and 6 is when they started getting crazy. That's when they started getting crazy.
No. She came
back in 6 because remember she was a part of
Too Fast, Too Furious.
She came back with the team that was a part of whatever. I'm forgetting the character's name. It was like the evil British dude. She was like a part of his team. The dude that's Jason Statham's brother.
They found out she was alive, and
they found out she was alive in the 6th one.
I don't know. I feel like we all. This is my point. Bad Boys is grounded in reality, so they haven't done anything really too crazy.
Yeah,
which I mean,
a few over the top scenes.
Yeah,
but nothing,
over the top, but nothing
to Fast and Furious level.
Fast and the Furious, bro. Like, nobody's expecting them to be.
At this point, no, but it's gotten to a point where it's a little. Niggas have gone to space, bro.
So they're doing.
Let's have an honest conversation about.
Listen, they're doing a.
These niggas went to space in a makeshift.
Listen, they're doing They're doing a Transformers and G.I. Joe movie soon, right?
Yes, we are getting
that. At the end of that Transformers movie, I thought they was gonna talk about the Torettos, bro. And
Now, I ain't gonna lie.
I
If
would
we
not
get
be.
that, I'll forgive all. If we get that, I'll forgive everything we've seen in Fast and
I
Furious. Because
wouldn't
I'm
be
gonna go, oh, this
surprised.
exists in that world. All right, fine. That's convincing if it
Okay,
exists in
now it
that
makes
world.
sense. I wouldn't
But
be surprised. I wouldn't
we've
be
just
mad.
had 9 movies, and 9 movies, y'all never addressed it. It was like aliens transforming into cars in a movie about cars in 9 movies. That would be very hard for me to believe. But
I just want to put out here. I bought tickets for a movie for tomorrow. I bought those tickets for today.
yikes, yikes! Pay better attention to what you're doing, my man. Golly.
But yeah, man. So no, man. I enjoy those facts again, and I don't expect. I expect it to be out as insane. I expect
Mhm.
him to drive a fucking Ferrari across 200 feet into another building.
Yeah.
80, 90 stories up in the high. I expect it at this point. I expect Dom Toretto to beat up The Rock. I expect
Which
him
is
to beat
totally
up.
unrealistic. That's actually the most unrealistic thing in that entire
He
franchise.
beat up somebody. He beat up somebody else, and I was like, no.
That when he won against The Rock, I'm like, oh y'all, no, I'm
He beat
not
up The
buying
Rock.
that.
He beat up. He
They
beat up
didn't.
John Cena.
This is the same movie where they were carrying a bank vault with 2 cars, and I bought that more than I bought him beating The Rock. I bought that more than I bought
and
him
he
beating The
didn't
Rock.
just beat The Rock. He beat the shit out of The Rock.
Beat his ass. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not buying that. I'm sorry.
That's why
Not
The Rock put
buying
that clause in his movies now.
He was like, y'all got me losing to him? No.
He watched that shit on screen. He said, this shit don't. You
He was like, this don't even make sense, y'all. Come on now. No,
So yeah,
I understand. I understand. Fast and Furious is a classic franchise, and it has its fan base that loves it.
I'm gonna watch.
I'm a part of that fan
terrible
base.
movie.
I'm a part of that fan base. I am a fan of the Fast and Furious franchises up to a point. There's a point where I stopped liking them.
See,
And
again,
that's my point. There's a point where I stopped liking them, and that's my
talked
point about that franchise.
Me watching terrible movies and enjoying it. The Fast and the Furious movies are terrible movies. Again, everything about those movies are bad at this point. Like, I mean, I don't want to say everything about them was bad, but the script is bad.
Yeah.
The acting's over the top. The action's over the top. But I enjoy it. I can turn my. I don't have to think about what's going on because they're telling us.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't expect, and I'm sorry, I'm getting way off topic. Was the main bad guy in the last one? They turned out not to be.
I actually didn't see the most recent one.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one. Yeah, that they lost me. They lost me at this point. I didn't even. What was it? Fast X? I ain't watched that.
Yeah, go. No, this 11. I think. I don't know, bro. Go watch it, dog.
No, I'm not. I'm good. 9 was the last straw for me when they turned this nigga Dom Toretto into Superman. He's tearing whole buildings down with chains. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm sorry, y'all. This nigga's Luke Cage now. You lost me. I'm sorry.
Listen, bro. When I tell you, bro, I
niggas crashing into the highway signs. Niggas is crashing into the highway signs and getting up like it was just a smack. No, I'm sorry.
I might go watch that last one again before I watch Bad Boys 3 again.
I would watch Bad Boys 3 again.
I'm telling you, go watch. You ain't seen it, bro. Watch that. Go watch this. Please go watch this. Please go watch this.
I'm not wasting the hour and 40 or hour and 50 minutes of my life that I'll never get back watching that. Bro. See, yep, that's all the more reason for me to leave that alone.
Everybody they got Jason Momoa in there.
Yeah, I saw the scenes with Zesty Jason Momoa. I saw that.
They got Brie Larson, Captain Marvel in there. They got Alan something. He just played
Alec Baldwin?
No. It's pissing me off because he's a really good actor and he just played in
I don't know why I said Alec Baldwin. He got some other shit he dealing with right now.
So much shit. It's just which is fucked up. At later time we can get into a discussion about that because my whole thing involves around gun safety.
Yeah.
It's all about gun safety. If you didn't feel like this man was paying attention to your classes and listening, why the hell would you give him a fucking gun?
Yeah, there's a lot of flawed in how that went down, but we ain't gonna. We could be here all day discussing that.
Man, so it's crazy that I cannot remember the name of this show because it's an Amazon show on Amazon Prime. Alan Richardson. He played. As soon as I say it, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's it. Reacher, Jack Reacher. He played Jack Reacher.
Oh, in the TV show.
Yeah. Which
Okay, yeah.
again, bro, I don't know. Have you seen that?
I've seen a few episodes. I haven't watched it, but I've seen some things from the show. I've seen some things. I've seen like an episode or two.
So
So
Tom Cruise played the original guy, which people were
yeah.
mad
I
about.
saw those movies.
They were mad about because I guess it's based off of books. In the books, Alan Richardson is what he looks like.
Yeah.
Like that's how like he's a big 6 foot tall guy. And
it's not Tom Cruise.
It's not Tom Cruise. And he, when I tell you, bro, he's so brutal in that show and just fucking, it's amazing. Like, please go watch that show at some point.
That I might actually check out.
It's 3 seasons right now, but
okay.
he was in the Fast X. I said Brie Larson. We already know what was in. It's not Michael Douglas. Who else was in that? Not Reach. I'm looking at Reacher instead of Fast X. The point is, bro, it's a terrible, amazing movie, and I'm going to watch every single one of them. When Fast 40 is out, and
this probably is going to be a Fast 40,
and they focusing on his son Brian, and I'm going to watch that too. And they need to just kill this man in the movies, bro. In the movies, he's still alive. He's still alive in the movies.
Yeah,
it's time to let him go, bro.
It's time to let him go.
And don't forget, John Cena, bro. John Cena's in it, and he's again. John Cena is just fucking hilarious.
He has very good comedic timing for sure. He has very good comedic timing. I ain't gonna lie. I've been very impressed with John Cena's like progression as an actor. I've been very impressed with it. He's impressed me with how committed to the craft he's been.
And Cardi B was in there.
And see, just like that, you threw it off. And on that note, Cardi B is crazy.
Oh man!
But let us know you guys' thoughts on the Bad Boys franchise, specifically on Bad Boys 4. Let us know what you think. We both personally enjoyed it. I'm hoping that they end the franchise at this point. I think that was a good send off. I don't think we need any more. And I think that we should just let these folks ride off to the sunset and be as is. I'm content with that being the final send off of these characters. I thought it was a very quality way to end the franchise, and I'm glad we were able to finally get that quality send off for them. We finally got to see these characters grow and develop into what we consider their final stage. They get one last action adventure together in their later years, and we send them off. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I am definitely sticking with my 7 out of 10 rating, and I'm highly recommending that you guys go out and check that out. Most definitely.
I'm gonna stick with my 7.5.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take it even lower because Tiffany Haddish makes me want to take it lower too. So.
You do not like this woman.
With reason, like it's valid reasons.
No, I understand. But yeah, y'all, that was our review of Bad Boys Ride or Die. Keep checking us out for more nerd content. We got a lot of cool, exciting stuff going on in the world of comic books and TV shows. New season of The Boys, new season of Game of Thrones. Acolyte is still going on. We'll probably touch on that in another later episode. I have some thoughts, and they're not good. They are not good thoughts, y'all. Just a spoiler alert for how I felt.
Not good.
Spoiler alert for how I felt about that most recent episode.
I'm gonna watch it tonight, and we go see.
Yeah, we got some things to discuss on that, man. I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in that 4th episode. I really am.
Man.
And
again, this is the halfway part. We still got 4 more. We only got 4 episodes left.
If this is the halfway point, we is not off to a great start. We are not off to a great start.
I can't wait to talk about this.
I wanted to give it. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but I was trying to give it some grace after the first 3 episodes. Like they're building. Let's just see what they do. That 4th episode was like, yeah, no, y'all done lost. But I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole because we'll be here for another hour. But yeah, that has been our review of Bad Boys Ride or Die. This is The Real Fanatics. Until next time, we'll see you.